Working on a construction site, it's not unusual to find objects that might seem out of place. Whether it's jewelry, antiques, and in some cases, even ancient artifacts, it's easy for things to become buried under the ground, only to be discovered years later by the construction workers digging into the earth. Before we start, can we get this video to 1,000 likes? Please hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. Back in 2016, a construction team was working hard at Augsburg, one of the oldest cities to ever exist in Germany. Once their digging tools struck a large object, they halted their work. It was at this point they knew they had found something out of the ordinary. The construction crew was in anticipation of Christmas, which was just 1 week away. Many of them were looking to get some time off work to spend with their families. The crew knew that the only thing to do now was to bring in a specialist to examine the object. With no other options, they made the call. 5 days after the specialist visited the site and ran some tests, officials were forced to make the decision whether to evacuate the whole city or not. To everyone's horror, the object they unearthed turned out to be an unexploded 2-ton bomb, right in the heart of the city. Judging by the type of bomb, it was concluded that it was one that was supposed to be detonated during World War II, a horrifically deadly conflict that lasted between 1939 and 1945. After the conclusion of the war, German cities began to slowly rebuild under the watchful eye of the occupying Allied soldiers. However, builders and soldiers couldn't keep track of where some bombs had fallen that had never detonated. The city officials of Augsburg gave the bomb's location and the retrieval responsibilities over to the Kampfmittelbesichtigungsdienst, KMBD, in hopes they would be able to solve the problem. The KMBD forces are a bomb disposal unit made of trained police officers and firefighters whose job is to handle situations exactly like this. But how would they be able to defuse a 2-ton bomb that nobody was sure if it could explode at any second? Everyone was holding their breath when Horst Reinhardt, the chief of the Brandenburg State KMBD, joined the force in the 1980s. He never imagined that he would still be doing the same job more than 30 years later. Incredibly, every year, the KMBD teams still discover close to 500 tons of weaponry and have to regularly defuse bombs that were dropped by Allied strategic bomber planes. The hardest part is both finding these unexploded bombs, as well as informing the public to be extremely cautious when they are digging into the ground in order to avoid a catastrophe. Although Horst and his team do a lot of work on their own, they are only a small part of the German bomb retrieving effort. Nationally, KMBD teams have located 2,000 tons of unexploded materials, which is a frightening number. Over 70 years have passed since the bloody conflict that was World War II has ended. And there's still no end to finding these unexploded bombs in sight. Today, in many parts of Germany, before a new construction project breaks ground, typically there's a survey completed of the area, although they aren't always precise. For example, at one point, 20,000 people were evacuated from Cologne, Germany, when a 1-ton bomb was found in the city during a construction project. On top of that, 45,000 residents in Koblenz were also evacuated in 2011 when a bomb was discovered at the bottom of the Rhine River. When the KMBD arrived on the scene in Augsburg, they were eerie about what they were looking at. As it turns out, the bomb that had been uncovered belonged to the British Royal Air Force. Concerned for the safety of the whole population of the city, they prompted the largest evacuation since World War II. 54,000 people in Augsburg would be forced to leave their homes. What's worse is that it would have to be on Christmas morning. The construction team discovered the bomb on the 20th of December, but the city waited until Christmas to enforce the evacuation for specific purposes. City officials claimed that on a working day, the evacuation would be much more difficult since the whole work and business life would be disrupted. In order to ensure that the evacuation went as smoothly as possible, the city used over 100 buses and trams to help the citizens of Augsburg out of the city as quickly as possible. At 3 p.m. on Christmas Day, 2 bomb defusing experts from Würzburg got to work on the explosive. At the time, they were the only 2 people left within a mile of where the bomb had been found at the construction site. Considering that both of the men's lives were at risk, as well as the safety of the surrounding buildings, the 2 bomb experts worked tirelessly for hours to make sure that the job was done right. The experts also were surrounded by a wall of sandbags just in case an explosion to happen. It was a stressful 4 hours, but in the end, they were successful. Everyone breathed a big sigh of relief that nothing went wrong. Luckily, the two-man bomb team was successful in their mission thanks to their skill and bravery they demonstrated through their work. The Augsburg bomb was defused, and the city's residents were allowed to return to their homes just in time for Christmas dinner. Although it was an incredibly stressful day for most, everything worked out in the end. This experience also helped to raise awareness about the dangers of unexploded bombs throughout the country of Germany.